Hey folks, Ariel over here, where we had a bear on the porch last night. Everyone is fine in case you're wondering that, but about at 3:30 a.m. my good watchdog Burley, is not really a guard dog, but he is very good at watching and letting me know if something happens, who normally sleeps like a rock all night. I never hear a peep out of him, so if he does bark at something during the night, I do know that there is actually something there. So about 3:30 in the morning, he woke me up barking probably more ferociously than I've ever heard him. So I got out of bed, grabbed the big spotlight that I've got, and took a look. And by the time I, got conscious, sat up, grabbed the light and looked, the bear was, about halfway between me and the house. It was just off there. I'm pretty sure it had been on the actual porch there a second ago, because that's where Burley was smelling it when I let him out this morning. And I think that's why he woke up and was barking so loudly at it. Anyway, it was a little, I would guess 3-4-year-old black bear, and it wandered kind of over this direction and off over the fence, which it had to crush in the process of doing so. Now my fence is not bear-proof. It is not intended to be bear-proof. It is just to keep things like deer and moose and elk out of the garden, and it does an excellent job of that, but a bear can crush it. I've had them do that several times, so in a second we're gonna go hang it back up so the deer and stuff don't come in. But I thought you guys might be interested to know that. Now, usually about once a year at least, I see a bear walk through this clearing, and I may see them a little more often now, because like that one I would have never seen last night if I didn't have a dog who woke me up to tell me he was there. But in the normal course of events, and I went and checked on everything this morning, he did not mess with anything. The only thing I've ever had bears get into that's in my clearing is there's two really large ant piles. They were just there. They were there before I moved in. I've never touched them. They get to do their own thing. But they have a lot of larvae in the middle, and those piles are up, like way off the ground now. And I have had twice where bears have come into the clearing and ripped the entire pile apart to get to the larva. I'm sure it kills some ants, but give them a little time, they put the whole pile back together and they're still there. But I checked everything else, and it indeed could not get into the feeder, could not get into the bird feed that's not in the feeder, didn't touch I've never had a bear touch the compost pile at all. I don't put meat and such in it because of that. But anyway, just didn't get any kind of reward, and so he went on his way, and probably won't be back actually, because it hasn't got much of a reason to come back to an area where he didn't find anything interesting. But that is one of the reasons why I am so conscientious all the time with not leaving any kind of trash or anything smelly or anything that would be edible to a bear, which is a whole lot of things, outside, because if a bear does come through the yard, that's exactly how I want it to go. I want them to look around, sniff at things, listen to a dog bark at them, and go on their way and find a different place to hang out. Now, if you're going to have more questions about my general thoughts on living around very large wildlife, because I do, not just black bears, there's also grizzlies, and saw a mountain lion twice about a month ago, found about 7 of his kills. There's wolf packs here and so on. I have a video on those thoughts that I can link down below if you're curious about that. Maybe I'll do an update on that. But anyway, I just thought it'd be fun to tell you guys there's a bear on the porch last night. Now we're going to go hang up the fence here where he squashed it to get in and out of the clearing. So this fence, when I've gone over this before and how I keep wildlife out of the garden, is temporary by nature. It does work really well. Without it, I probably wouldn't be able to grow anything that I got to eat. But it's just held up with zip ties. So a bear can absolutely break it down. And it's not always perfectly nice and straight because it follows the contours of hills and valleys here. So again, as I said, that fence was not intended to ever stop a bear. So this is not a fencing failure. It's just one of those things that every now and then I got to put it back up when one knocks it over. It is, however, really, really good at stopping the four-legged things, the deer and the moose and the elk, and it doesn't even have to be tight. I can link below to this fence. It's just called deer netting. It goes the entire way around my clearing, and in the winter it just falls down on the ground and stays there. And the moose come through, and you've seen videos of the moose right up against the house in the winter. But once I start planting the garden in the spring, I put it back up, and it does keep them out of this little clearing so they don't eat off all my flowers and herbs and veggie garden. And it works really well for that. It can even be flexible. It doesn't have to be stretched taut, because that seems to kind of freak them out. They could jump it. It's not so tall they couldn't, but they choose not to, especially because it's a little floppy. I think it worries them that they could get tangled up in it, and so they just don't. In 5 years now of using the fence, I've never had any of those things get in unless something else already knocked it down. Like one time I had a tree fall across the fence in the middle of the night in a windstorm, kind of back there at the end of the clearing, and then I had deer that came in and ate off all the strawberries before morning, but the deer didn't break it down. So it's somewhat of a temporary measure. I didn't want to obviously invest in putting in a permanent fence in a location where I know I'm not going to be permanent, but it has worked really well for my needs, and it's getting a little funny patches in some areas because of things like bears knocking it down. Also, this particular fencing was used, it was secondhand from somebody else who had used it in a landscaping setting before I used it, so I started out with some patched bits. So it doesn't all look perfect, but that black netting blends in really well to the woods, and most people don't even know I have a fence around here, and that is kind of nice, because I don't want it to look and feel like you're in a cage, but it's also very effective at keeping things from eating all the stuff I want to eat. And that was our excitement for the middle of the night. Thanks to Burley, I know that a bear came by. If it wasn't even for him, I would have slept right through it, probably never known it was here because it didn't touch a thing, and it did exactly what a bear should do, went on its way to doing something else somewhere else. And we might not see another one the rest of the year, given that Burley's around to let me know when they're here. There might be a few more. And no, there's no pictures. It was pitch dark, and I had left my camera sitting out in the car, and the bear was between me and the car, and I was half asleep, and so anyway, there's no pictures of that particular bear. Unless he comes back sometime, maybe I'll get one. So that was our little excitement around here today. What's the biggest wildlife you guys have ever had get on your porch? I know a lot of you live in very different areas than me, so you probably have a whole lot of different things. Hi folks, Ariel over here. Thanks for spending some of your valuable time watching these videos. Hopefully you found something beautiful, educational, interesting, peaceful, relaxing, or useful while you were here. If so, find more videos here, subscribe so you don't miss any updates, and if you like what you found here, feel free to like and share away so that others can benefit as well. You all have a wonderful day.